Today we're taking a look at Dehancer, which is a piece of software that's been very highly requested on this channel, and we're going to compare it against a couple other popular plugins and power grades for DaVinci Resolve. Hey, my name's Carter. I'm a DP and colorist here in Los Angeles, and since posting my CinePrint 16 video several months ago, I've had a lot of people who have wanted me to take a look at Dehancer. It's obviously a really popular plugin, and I just hadn't really had the opportunity to test it out until recently. Dehancer reached out and offered to give me a trial of the software in order to take a look at it and give you my thoughts. So while the Dehancer team did give me a copy of this software for the purpose of this video, they haven't asked me to say anything specific about it, and so I'll just be giving my honest thoughts and opinions about the plugin, and then also comparing it to some other color grading tools inside of Resolve. Also want to say that I haven't posted in a while, and that's largely because I just moved. As you can see, I'm in a new space, and so it's taken some time just to get settled in and to kind of get my setup up and running again. But happy to say that now I'm pretty settled and should be making more videos whenever I'm able to. So for this comparison, I have 4 clips here. 3 of them I just shot at home, and then one of them is from a fashion shoot that I did. So I'll be comparing these 4 looks today. We just have Rec 709, we have FilmUnlimited, we have CinePrint 16, and we have Dehancer. So I'm not gonna really get into full look development for each of these power grades, except for when we get into Dehancer, since we haven't talked about that yet. So let's start with this clip here. This is a new coffee grinder that I got, so I was pretty excited about it. Just wanted to shoot a clip of it. And this is Rec 709, so this is kind of the straight out of camera look, more or less. Right off the bat, I want to take a look at CinePrint. So just to compare that to Rec 709, here's Rec 709 on the left, CinePrint on the right. And so for this example, I'm dialing in a little bit of print film 2383 with a little bit of the Cine look. I've also done 2 power windows here. They're just inverse of each other, and that's just kind of popping the grinder out from the background and then knocking down the background as well. And I've applied that same window to all of these grades just for consistency. So yeah, I'm obviously a fan of CinePrint, and I think here it's doing a nice job. Everything's looking pretty balanced, pretty nice. And this is definitely a look that I would be interested in pursuing if I was grading this project. So now let's take a look at Dehancer. And the way I've been using Dehancer is in kind of this standard node tree that you may have seen before, where we have kind of our color space transform, some balance nodes, and then a series of parallel nodes for our primaries, and then a color space transform into Rec 709 where I can control my gamma for different deliverables. And then finally, we have another set of parallel nodes. And in this secondary adjustment is where I'm applying Dehancer. So because I've done a color space transform to Rec 709, I'm using Rec 709 as my source input for Dehancer. And then really what's happening here is just that final film emulation step. So if I turn off Dehancer, you can see that we essentially have a Rec 709 image. I've done all of my balancing in these previous nodes. I've done my window adjustments, and then I'm taking the Rec 709 image and applying Dehancer to create that film emulation look. So let's open up Dehancer and take a look at the settings that I'm using. So as I mentioned, I'm really doing all of my primary adjustments and all of the balancing in these previous nodes. There is the ability to do that inside of Dehancer, but I'm so used to the control of Resolve, and I think I just get more granular control when I do it using Resolve's tools. And again, that's why I like putting Dehancer at the end of the node tree, because I can do all of my primary adjustments, all of my balancing, contrast, white balance, etc. Before that node. So inside of Dehancer, the main controls that I'm messing with are the film settings and the print settings. The standard 2383, you take it into Cine, apply the 2383 LUT, and it looks really nice. What I do like about Dehancer is it allows you to do that 2383 transform, but it gives you a lot more granular control over what's happening, and also allows you to do other adjustments to give you a more creative look. So generally I will choose a film stock, and in this case I've chose Vision 3 250D, and that's largely because I'm gonna do a 250D power grade later, and so I wanna be able to compare those. But I like the 250D. I generally like the Cine Still 800T, some of the Kodak portrait stocks, that sort of thing. It's pretty fun to be able to quickly go through different stocks and just see what look it gets you. There's definitely some crazy stuff in here that I haven't really played with, and but it might be cool. It might give you an interesting look that it would be kind of difficult to develop otherwise. But generally, kind of the classic Kodak stocks are what I'm generally going with. Also, the ability to do push-pull is pretty cool. And again, these are just awesome tools to let you quickly dial in a look and experiment. In the print section, I am generally doing the 2383 print film look. I have also done the Kodak glossy paper, especially if I'm doing stills inside of Resolve, which I have a full video about that you can watch. It's also interesting that you can do separate contrast and exposure and saturation adjustments in the print stage. It's kind of like in CinePrint where you have your initial adjustments here and then you have your grade adjustments here. It just splits it up into two separate sections where one is kind of adjusting the negative or the log image and the other is adjusting the graded image. But back into Dehancer, as you can see, I don't have any of the kind of textural elements enabled here. So film grain, halation, bloom, all of that is disabled in these nodes. And let me show you why. So right below my Dehancer node, I have a parallel node that is called texture. And this is actually another instance of Dehancer, but I've disabled the film and print nodes and only enabled the texture nodes. And the reason that I do this is that I feel that the textural elements in Dehancer are a little bit heavy-handed. And so I like the ability to actually go down and adjust the impact of those here at the bottom. So if I was applying grain or halation or any of those textural elements inside of my standard Dehancer node, and the director or the client wanted less of that texture, and I went down and brought down the total impact, that would be affecting everything that's been applied inside of that node. So it'd be pulling back the color in addition to the texture. So that's why I apply it as a separate node. And I do like the grain and the halation, and the ability to add bloom is really cool. Like that's not something that I've seen super often in other power grades and plugins. But the ability to change your halation, for example, and choosing remjet or no remjet, it's a quick way to dial in halation that looks pretty good and also is pretty adjustable. So for me, the big pro of using Dehancer is the ability to apply it inside of a node tree that is really modular. One of my biggest issues with CinePrint and FilmUnlimited in a professional environment is you kind of lose the ability to do a really color managed workflow as easily. And that's why you'll see a lot of, professional colorists using a node tree that's very similar to this, is because it's very standardized and it allows you to make adjustments really quickly for different deliverables. That's something that as I've been grading more projects, come to understand the importance of, because if you're locking yourself in using a different power grade, occasionally you'll screw yourself over when it comes to deliverables. Again, if there's something you didn't like about this look, you could easily do adjustments to change saturation, to change exposure. It's really quick to go to your different nodes and change the look without changing the overall film emulation. So that's a quick look at Dehancer. Again, I think it's a really powerful software, and I definitely hope to continue using it in the future. Like I said, in this sort of structure, using that versus the standard 2383 adjustment gives you some additional control that's actually really helpful, really nice to use. Again, the only cons for me really are the lack of ability to control some of the textural elements separately without doing another node, but that's a pretty easy workaround and hasn't really presented any big issues yet. I've also played around a little bit with, using Dehancer front to back for the full workflow. And ultimately, I've just decided that this is a better workflow for me, but that's not to say that that's not going to work for other people. So if you're interested in using Dehancer, try it out, see what workflow works for you. I think it'll be a little different for everybody. So overall, I'm really impressed with Dehancer. I think it's a really powerful tool. It's super intuitive. I think anybody could use it out of the box and have success. And it's a really efficient and quick way to develop looks inside of Resolve. So lastly, I just want to take a look at FilmUnlimited. This is another power grade. This is made by Juan Malara, and this is one I've been using quite a bit as well. And at some point, I'll probably do a full video about this as well. I just wanted to do a comparison here to show you how these three different plugins / power grades work, since they're all kind of film emulation based. What's really interesting though is that the look of film in people's mind is so subjective. It's really about creating that feeling, creating the texture, and just kind of the the emotional impact that film gives you. And for me, it's just like creating a pleasing image that resonates with me. And as long as I'm achieving that, then that's great. Like, I don't actually care about perfect emulation of film. So here we're looking at FilmUnlimited. If we compare this to what we just did in Dehancer, if you look at the lamp in the background, like, holy cow, it's doing very different things. There is a slightly different color cast that we could dial one way or the other to try to get them closer together. But just the way it's handling the tonal range and the saturation is vastly different. So the way that this power grade works is it does a series of color space transforms that allow you to do your initial balancing in a really actually kind of cool and accurate way. It takes you into a linear gamma using a CST, and then allows you to do some really accurate and effective exposure adjustments using the gain wheel. And this is like a real life hack that you can actually apply to other workflows as well. So if you're interested in that, definitely take a look at FilmUnlimited. And again, if we do a full video about this, then we'll go deeper into that. But from there, it's doing some adjustments that you really don't need to touch, changing the hue, saturation, and luminance in order to try to replicate the look of 250D, as well as some curve, blur, sharpening, texture, that sort of thing. So really, this is a pretty easy power grade. The main things that you adjust are your balancing nodes, and then there are some adjustment nodes leading into the 2383 LUT, which these are specially developed for this power grade. One of the cool things here is that it allows you to choose different 2383 looks. So the standard one is this Rec 709, but you can actually go into different ones that will give you kind of shift the middle gray point to give you a different look. There are also some creative adjustment looks here at the end, these different tints and a D55 white point. So I'll usually toggle these on and off together if I'm looking for that differentiation. I will say the grain structure out of the box I'm not a fan of, so I always just replace that with the Film Grain Open Effects plugin. I think the halation in here is interesting. It's not necessarily usually very effective for me, so I'll sometimes replace that with a different halation effect, either the Resolve one, or actually in this case, Dehancer would be a good candidate as well. So let's go ahead and compare all 4 of these grades. I'll show them side by side as well as overlaid so you can really see the difference between all of them. So now that I've shown you that first example, I'm going to go ahead and show you a few other clips here with each of these power grades and plugins applied, and you can take a look and compare for yourself. Yeah, so I think this was a really interesting comparison. I'm really glad that I've been able to try out Dehancer. It's been on my mind for a while, and I can definitely see myself incorporating that as part of my regular workflow. As I mentioned, there's some huge benefits to being able to do a more color managed workflow, and so that's going to be really important for me when I'm doing client work. That being said, there's still a place for CinePrint and FilmUnlimited and, other workflows that I haven't even got into yet. And what's really great is you're not locking yourself into one workflow, and you can choose the appropriate workflow for each project. I would never choose one workflow over another just because I think it's cool or trendy or relevant. I'm always going to choose the right workflow for the project. And so this is just one more tool in my toolbox. And that's also why the point of this video is not to choose a favorite or to choose one over another. I actually really like the looks that I got out of each of these, and it's more about, what serves the project, what serves the client. So yeah, if you have any questions about Dehancer or any of these workflows, I'd be happy to try to answer those for you. Feel free to leave a comment in the comments section. You can also connect with me on Instagram. The link for that will be in the description of this video. And if you've been following along with this channel for a while, just want to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the videos that are going to come out of this new space. I have some fun ideas, and it's just about finding the time to do them. So yeah, keep looking out for new videos and have a good day. See ya.